Welcome to the...
Hello again.
What?
Sorry.
Shut up, Jeremy.
Well, I didn't know you were going to say anything.
You fly like This American Life, and it's just some guy talking at the start.
No, it was the little countdown thing. I wasn't really paying attention. Sorry, start again. I'll be quiet.
Welcome to the FediHost podcast, a show covering the challenges of building a new internet. I'm your FediHost host, Paige, and with me today is a recurring guest, Jeremy Flatt, up in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories, Canada. Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, Paige. You could introduce me as an excellent value guest.
Yes.
Well, thanks for having me. It's nice to be here.
So Jeremy is Jeremy is an unusual, but in the technological sense, regular person. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'd say so. That's all right.
The Fediverse at present has kind of this collection of people. You know, you've got early adopters and tech people and people who are, upset by X or have an ideology, that's opposed to private social media. Jeremy is, like a kind of moral person and has those sorts of qualms. But I think you're kind of probably more representative of the future, hopefully, the Fediverse. So we thought we'd have this Fediverse tech support where Jeremy can ask any questions he's got about the Fediverse, and we'll attempt to explain it. Victor, at the moment, is handling a emergency, so he won't be here this week, but I am. Okay, Jeremy, questions.
I have been on Mastodon now for almost a year, I think, about a year. I'm just on the one server. I'm not entirely sure that I'm doing it correctly. I do think maybe you're talking about me being the future of the site. I like that idea, and I definitely felt like a year ago, certainly when I joined, even on the social server, which is the one I joined, every other comment seems to be from a programmer or somebody in tech, a security person or something like that. So it does seem to be, those people are kind of overrepresented in the general users of Mastodon. There's lots of things I really like about it. The discourse seems very civil, and there's a lot of kind of other types of dorky people on there posting about things like electoral reform and other things that I enjoy. I do wonder how it works with me being on the one server and how that affects what I see, because you have this thing that's a little bit like I don't want to say news feed because that's a Facebook thing, but it's kind of like a news feed where you go on the home screen and then people you follow, you see their posts, but other stuff also pops up there from people that you're not following, or things that you see stuff that your friends or other people have boosted and that kind of stuff too. But I wonder, am I only seeing stuff that's being posted in my server, or am I seeing stuff from all over?
So that's a good question. So what instance are you on?
I think it's just the mastodon.social.
And what's your username?
It is prose, Prose, before hose.
Okay, that's great.
Oh, at mastodon.social. Yeah, there you
go. So mastodon.social is the largest Mastodon server. You can tell how big a server is if you go to kind of the homepage for it, and you can look on the left-hand side. So with your account being on a large server, you're seeing a really big representative sample of the Fediverse. Probably about as large as as large as anyone sees, I would say. If you're on a small server, like say you were on Canadian Civil, which is just for, me and a few friends who aren't called pros before hoes due to hashtag controversial name. People think you're a misogynist.
No, it was going to be a book club or a writers club, but it just kind of stuck with me. I didn't want to do the legwork of organizing the book club for bros and people who identify as bros.
Anyway, now if you were on Canadian Civil, we have a much, much quieter instance. Literally Reese's posts, my posts, and the stuff that we boost and respond to, and the stuff that we follow. So I follow 100 accounts, Reese follows 100 accounts. A lot of the time there'll be tons of crossover, like 75 of those accounts we're both seeing. You're kind of like out there catching the rays of the Fediverse.
I sometimes will see you will reply to Reese, who's shared an article or something. And if Reese is on Canadian Civil and you're on Canadian Civil, I follow you and I follow Reese. I'm still seeing that on mastodon.social, even though none of your interaction with Reese took place on Mastodon Social.
Yeah, that's right.
Right,
so
okay.
Every Mastodon account is almost like signing up for a newsletter and being like, I want to see everything that this account does. Mastodon is all about following people. Every time you see something that you find interesting, you follow it. And then you will get to see the interactions that account has in your feed. If you just followed me and Reese replied to me, you, because you're on mastodon.social, will see Reese's replies because there are for sure other people on mastodon.social who have followed Reese. You know, that information's already been transmitted by someone else. But if Reese was, say, a very minor account that no one followed and was replying to the post, you wouldn't see that reply necessarily below mine if you're on another server. That's why you'll sometimes see, if you click on a post, see more replies on something. And that's basically telling you, like, here's what mastodon.social for you has got related to this post. But there might be some stuff from smaller accounts, you know, over on the that other server.
If you're on one server like I am, mastodon.social, but you also want to participate in like a local issues type server, something that's kind of like for your town or what have you, can you be on multiple servers with the same account?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
So kind of like replying all to an email address. You know, if you're you've subscribed to the Paige newsletter and you hit reply all, you know, I see what you say and all the other people see, and then they can reply all to you, or they can just reply directly to you.
If I'm on multiple servers, or even on the server that I'm on right now, and I share a photo or something on Mastodon, where is that data stored?
All your data is stored on mastodon.social, the original copy of it. Say you post a picture of a child, you know, going skating or whatever, and it's a really cute picture, you know, and everyone loves this picture. When that picture goes out, your server goes, here's the text. So, you know, you might say, like, went skating today, #skating, and it's got an image attached to it, and it ships it out to, say, the 15 servers that have someone who's subscribed to you.
Right.
This is kind of like, it's definitely behind the scenes, but if you have a server like mastodon.social, I probably have 200 people following me on mastodon.social, but my server only needs to send one copy out. It goes, here's the photo, and here's all the people on your server that need to see this. Okay. So that kind of like conserves resources, obviously, and it stops there being duplicates. Your picture, it goes into a cache for, say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Then on all the remote servers, the ones that aren't yours, that copy of the picture gets wiped out. So they don't store it forever. But your server will always have it.
I'm being asked a question here from Eleanor. Eleanor, did you have a question for Paige about how the internet works?
How have you been finding it looking for stuff and like kind of getting your feed to be kind of more people that you're interested in hearing from? Is that a challenge?
Actually, that part has been reasonably easy. You get a variety of things popping up and you can follow people. And there are some people who post prolifically and then you end up with your entire feed being, you know, them expounding on something or engaging in kind of arguments with people. Not arguments. It's not really that kind of a place. It's more like, you know, long reply threads and things like that. So, you know, sometimes you find someone who posts a few things that you like, but then you realize they post so much stuff that you don't see anything else if you follow them. So you kind of mute them. I like being able to mute people rather than unfollow them because it feels a little less serious. I've done a few kind of searches for various public figures who I like to see if anyone is on Mastodon. And I've found a few people. But what I do like is there do seem to be some people who are kind of quite interesting and, you know, high profile individuals who are on there, but because the community is pretty small, you can actually engage with these people rather than being one of, you know, 100,000 replies to some comment that somebody makes. And that's I think a real strength of Mastodon, which I'm not sure how much that would, you know, survive if the platform were to be much more widely adopted.
Same for me, you know, like I'm not going to reply to YouTube comments. There's too many of them.
Yeah.
The Mastodon feels kind of exclusive.
I think you mentioned something about this before, that when you're posting in these algorithm driven sites, they're often showing your stuff to people who they know can get pissed off by it. It's like, hey, this guy here, he's like been raging about bike lanes for 2 years. Let's show him this video about someone who likes bike lanes. He's like, fuck you.
Yeah, how do you like that?
It's great for engagement. Look at his eyeballs.
Literally, I did a video on like congestion charges, right, and the number of posts that were, yeah, right, like we need this.
You are Joseph Stalin.
almost all the profile pictures like literally are an SUV or a truck. Like, it's like, no wonder everyone thinks the world's falling apart. You know, you're constantly just seeing what you don't like.
You know, I really do think that that's a huge part of it. I mean, we look at the groups of people that we disagree with, and we find the most egregious opinion or something that someone has offered from within that group. And then taking shortcuts, we tend to assume that that opinion is emblematic of everybody within that group. If you're somebody who's ever voted Democrat, then you must be a huge Nancy Pelosi fan and all this and the next thing, and mandatory puberty blockers for all kids in schools and Sharia law for everyone and all that kind of stuff. This business of showing people stuff that they know is going to get engagement by fucking irritating the shit out of them is obviously contributing to that dynamic, because you just stand on your computer and you're like, oh my god, it's these assholes again, everyone's an asshole. And it just completely distorts anyone's idea of where the actual center is.
Well, I think like I don't know, like it's kind of cool that you have found your own way to Mastodon and having a good time. And actually, I mean, I should ask you, like, you are a person who I remember left Facebook pretty early and just decided like, this is not good for me. Mastodon is kind of your re-entry after probably close to a decade into social media.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I do find myself sort of, expending time. I won't say wasting, expending time scrolling on Mastodon, because you can still scroll. There are some features about it that I like, that it does stop after a while and you have to wait. Well, for one thing, there's no ads, which is great. And I just don't feel like I'm getting sucked into these arguments. I mean, like, I think I told you, but the main reason that I left Facebook was I really wasn't using it for what I thought I was using it for. I wasn't really keeping in touch with friends and family. I was sort of, hovering around looking at what people are doing and not really engaging at all. But then when I did engage, it would be like I would see someone posting to something about flat Earth or something like that, and then I would just, dive in and just really like tear into these people who sometimes I hadn't even met them. They were just friends of the flat earther who happened to be in my friendship circle. But then, I realized after one exchange with this flat Earth guy, a particularly kind of cutting exchange where I really, really laid down the law on a few things. And I just thought, like, what am I doing? This person is obviously mentally ill. This is a person who's deeply paranoid and has a very strange outlook on the world, like kind of a troubled person, right? Like he's come to his conspiracy theories as a refuge from all these other things in his life that are really not working out. And like, I mean, sure, he was obnoxious in his posting and kind of was inviting that kind of engagement, but more fool me for getting sucked in and arguing with somebody who thinks the earth is flat. I found that it amplified all of the worst aspects of my personality, my impulse to put people down in arguments, which I almost always regret right away. So there was that. But then there was also this sort of vanity aspect of, particularly Facebook kind of curating this version of your life for other people to see, which is absolutely bollocks all to do with the truth. All it does is contribute to everyone else's insecurity whilst, fueling your own insecurity. So you're trying to show people that your life is so fantastic, and while you're looking at their lives that are also fantastic, and that your own life, is fucking, you've got all sorts of problems. So you don't see that in other people's social media. So in the 10 years since I left Facebook or whatever, it sounds like it's only got worse, and there's much more of that.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, you avoided the worst of it, because now what's going on is people are arguing with everyone else's weird flat earth friend. When you go onto Facebook, you just see flat earth friend. People live in private Facebook groups, and just kind of there's a whole project that I'm filming right now is essentially an online battle between people in this neighborhood over a municipal project. And I can't imagine how many, like we're saying, maybe 15 hours a week for these people, week after week, for years. It's just like really huge waste of time. And I mean, that's on the good end of the spectrum. It actually is civic engagement. Yeah. But it's been kind of like flamed up into a huge issue for them relative to what it is, due to the online, nature of things. As soon as the opposition post, the first thing they see on Facebook is the opposition's post. They don't see their friends and things they like.
And it just sort of builds this idea that the world is full of people you should hate immediately. I do feel like I'm excited for the possibility that the Fediverse to kind of fix that. And it's funny because after watching, especially, you know, in the last 2 years with Twitter, X, whatever, and then seeing all of the what's his name, Zuckerberg and everything going to the inauguration and, you know, kowtowing and dropping their lawsuit or whatever the fucking was and giving their inauguration fund tribute, like, me too, please don't leave me out. You know, I thought to the extent to which these people, awful people, contemptible, spineless, weaselly people have captured the internet. You know, and I thought, well, like, it's too late. It's too late for the internet, but can we build a new internet? And I think I almost got like halfway through a Signal message to you being like, Paige, somebody should build a new internet. Can't we just start again? And then, you know, it sort of kind of dawned on me, sort of looking into what Fediverse actually means. I was like, oh, yeah, this sounds like somebody had the same idea, you know, 9 years ago and has been working on it ever since.
If you sent me that message, it's such a slap in the face.
Yeah, have you seen this, bro?
Anyway, I hope this answered some questions that you may have or gave you a window into kind of the world of a person finding their way on the Fediverse. Join us next time for some updates, and hopefully we'll hear from Jeremy again when he's talks to his city councillor about his other project to get the city of Yellowknife onto the Fediverse. Comment away if you have any questions that you think, you know, everyday person questions about the Fediverse and people trying to get into it. And yeah, subscribe on PeerTube if you want to see this early, on YouTube if you want to see it late, and of course on all your podcast apps.